nuestro invitado solo ha producido 450 álbumes a lo largo de su carrera. Ha producido 24 discos de oro, 17 de platino. Es que detrás de un artista hay un productor. Y por eso fui un poco atrás para saludar a nuestro invitado, que fue el productor de Dolly Parton entre 1991 y 2001. Ahí, en 1995, apareció esta canción. Escúchenla. La verdad es que es un invitado muy especial. Stephen Craig Buckingham, el productor de Nashville, Tennessee, detrás de muchos éxitos de la señora Parton. Lo saludamos a esta hora. Mr. Craig Buckingham, good morning. Thank you very much for this interview in a very special day, and we are very sorry about Dolly. Good morning.
Good morning. Please call me Steve. I go by two names, Steve or Buck. The musicians all call me Buck. Everybody else calls me Steve. So, and it's great to be here. It's been two days of shock for me, as you can imagine. But thank you so much for getting in touch with me just to talk about my friend.
When was the last time you spoke, Stephen, with your friend Dolly?
Within the last few months, when Dolly did her, I think, 50th anniversary at the Opry, she invited my wife and me to come with her family, and we went to see her play live at the Opry for her 50th anniversary. That was, a couple of years ago. And but we would talk regularly still, and but not lately, because I knew that she was not feeling well, and I respected her privacy.
Bueno, Julio, nos dice nuestro invitado que la última vez que habló fue en el aniversario número 50 en el nos dice que en el Opry, nos dice que él le invitó a ese especial a él, con su familia, con su esposa, nos dice que conversaron ahí, nos dice que no recientemente porque sabía que Dolly Parton estaba enferma, que estaba mal y quería respetar esa privacidad, pero nos dice que estos últimos días han sido de un shock impresionante para él y por eso agradece el contacto.
Todo el mundo está escuchando Jolene, 9 to 5, bueno, todos sus clásicos de la música country, los covers que ha hecho. Yo he querido comenzar la entrevista con I Will Always Love You. Esta canción es bellísima, pero muy pocos saben o sabíamos que la canción originalmente fue de Dolly y terminó haciendo la famosa Whitney Houston. ¿Cuál es la verdadera historia de lo que pasó con esta espectacular canción?
Steve, again, sorry for your loss. So we're speaking about Dolly's songs and music right now, and everybody's hearing her classics and her covers. We began the interview with I Will Always Love You, and very few of us knew that this song was actually originally Dolly's song. It was made famous by Whitney Houston. Can you tell us the true story behind the song I Will Always Love You? We know you also recorded this with her.
Yeah, I recorded the duet with Dolly and Vince Gill, and we knew that night it just as soon as Vince opened his mouth, Dolly looked at me in the control room, and we knew it was magic that night. But as everybody, I'm sure, has read, when Dolly left Porter Wagner's show, she wrote the song I Will Always Love You as a goodbye to Porter, because she had to go out on her own and make it on her own. And of course, she had a hit with it twice. And then we were in the studio one day, and she walked in with a cassette and said, "You're not going to believe who's recorded I Will Always Love You." And she had a cassette that Kevin Costner had sent her. I believe it was his idea to put it in the movie. And we listened to the rough mix on the cassette of Whitney's version. Of course, what can you say? We were just, well, it was Dolly, me, my engineer, all my studio musicians. And it was just magic. And we knew it would be huge. And people have talked about too that when Dolly was still up and coming, Elvis's people contacted her about recording I Will Always Love You, but it was Colonel Tom Parker's modus operandi to take half the publishing if Elvis cut it. And Dolly didn't have all that much money at that time, but she turned it down. She turned down the Elvis deal and kept the publishing and writer's version of I Will Always Love You. And I was joking with her years later and said, my gosh, that was about a $10 or $20 million decision that you didn't give away half of I Will Always Love You to Elvis's publishing company. But she was that savvy of a businesswoman, besides all of her other talents.
Bueno, nos cuenta la historia detrás de I Will Always Love You. Nos dice que él grabó, ayudar a Dolly a grabar un dueto con Vince Hill, y nos dice que apenas él abrió la boca sabían que era absoluta magia. Fue un impacto poder escuchar ese dueto y también la versión que hizo con Vince Hill. Y nos dice que esa fue una canción que ella se guardó durante mucho tiempo, que muchas personas la contactaron para grabar I Will Always Love You, hasta que les llegó este cassette de manos de Kevin Costner. Y pues cuando escucharon que esta versión la había hecho Whitney, pues ¿qué pueden decir? O sea, era magia pura, sabían que iba a ser un absoluto hit y sabían que pues valió la pena la espera y que Dolly pues demostró ser esa gran mujer de negocios también, porque digamos que fue un absoluto éxito.
Hablemos un poco de esa Dolly en estudio. ¿Cómo era trabajar con ella y grabar con ella, y especialmente los covers? Porque a ella le gustaba hacer mucho covers, pero se arriesgaba bastante. De hecho, buscando y revisando los discos que él hizo con ella, hay una versión de un clásico de un grupo de rock alternativo llamado Collective Soul, de Shine. Hablemos un poco de por qué ella decidía hacer estos covers y arriesgarse en otros géneros que no fueran el country.
Steve, we're wondering why Dolly decided to make some of the covers, because she was an artist that oftentimes made many covers of many artists that she used to love, and we're wondering why she was making some of these covers.
Well, I heard you mention Shine in there somewhere when we did the two bluegrass albums, Grass is Blue and Little Sparrow. And she, of course, wrote songs and rewrote some songs for the two albums. But then she came up with the idea of doing Collective Soul's Shine, which was a showpiece for everybody, her, the musicians. And in fact, I don't know if you can pick this up on, can you see that?
Yes, we can see it.
That's the first day we cut the session for The Grass is Blue. That's the day we cut Shine. And that she called it God's Bluegrass Band. It was Jerry Douglas on dobro, Sam Bush on mandolin, Brian Sutton on guitar, Stuart Duncan on fiddle, me on guitar, the late Jim Mills on banjo, and Barry Bales on upright bass, and of course the Queen right there in the front. But that was the first day of cutting The Grass is Blue in 1999. And I knew it was going to be a special album because I knew we had the great artist, Dolly, and I knew we had the greatest bluegrass musicians. And I always try to surround myself with the best songwriters, the best studio players, the best artists, the best engineers. And it was a magic time. We cut all the tracks for The Grass is Blue in 2 days. It was all live except for the harmony vocals, which I brought in Alison Krauss and Dan Kaminsky to sing harmony. I brought in Rhonda and Darren Vincent to sing harmony, and there were a few others singing harmony on the album, but it was all live except for the background harmonies. And the same thing when we cut Little Sparrow a year later. We cut all the tracks for Little Sparrow in 2 days.
Bueno, nos cuenta la
the-
historia del... Yes, let me translate that really quickly, please. Nos cuenta la historia detrás de el álbum is Blue y nos dice que fue un álbum que pudieron reunir en prácticamente 2 días. Nos dice que hay un grupo creativo tan importante detrás con los mejores ingenieros, con los mejores artistas, los mejores productores, que de hecho es un proceso que se hace bastante rápido y nos muestra, ya que él está conectado por Zoom, una foto de esa sesión en la que realizaron ese álbum. Entonces nos cuenta que se hizo absolutamente todo en vivo excepto las armonías y nos explica ese proceso detrás del desarrollo de este álbum Grass is Blue y cómo lo hicieron realmente muy rápido en 2 días, como también otros proyectos que adelantaban.
Quiero preguntarle también, él apoyó la producción de uno de los covers de Jolene, una canción muy hermosa y una de las más populares de Dolly. Quiero preguntarle si en algún momento la vio llorar con esta canción y cuál es la verdadera historia detrás de esta canción. So Steve, I know you also helped Dolly produce a cover of Jolene, and I'm wondering what the true story behind this song is, one of her most popular songs. We're listening to it now. And if you ever saw Dolly cry while she was singing this song and you were producing the cover of it.
I didn't see Dolly cry doing Jolene. I know my engineer and I both cried sometimes with her vocal performances. Occasionally she would get a bit emotional doing a vocal, but it was mostly me and my engineer, Gary Pachoza. We would just look each other and with tears in our eyes because her performances were so spectacular. And she was very fast. One of the reasons we worked together so well for so many decades was I work very fast and she works very fast. And with Dolly, if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. She was always early. She was never late. She was always prepared, ultra prepared, and I was the same way. And that's why we hit it off so well in the studio, because we were both serious about it. We were prepared, and I always tried to put the best cast around her. I always said being a music producer is like being a film director. It's my job to cast it. She's the star. I have to put the supporting cast around her, which studio musicians, songwriters provided. If she wasn't writing everything, the songwriters provided the script, if you will. And then my engineers were all the technical people. So I always looked at film director as being more my job as a music producer.
Nos explica que no vio a Dolly llorar, pero que él sí lloraba bastante en ocasiones. Nos dice que se le salían las lágrimas y simplemente tenía lágrimas en los ojos de ver la presentación tan espectacular que ella hacía, y trabajaban muy bien juntos porque tenían, digamos, la misma ética profesional, trabajaban en un ritmo bastante rápido y también eran muy puntuales. Si uno no llegaba 10 minutos antes a una cita, para Dolly se estaba tarde. Entonces siempre ella estaba preparada y lista para trabajar, al igual que él. Tenían esa misma ética laboral y cada uno se enfocaba en lo suyo, siendo Dolly la estrella y él como productor enfocado en todo el tema logístico y los ingenieros en esa parte técnica.
Steve, sabemos que es un momento difícil, pero me gustaría que pudiéramos recordar también a Dolly con un poco de esa gracia y ese sentido del humor que tanto la caracterizaron. ¿Recuerda alguna anécdota, alguna ocurrencia de ella que todavía le saca una sonrisa?
So I know it's a hard moment, Steve, and I also want to remember Dolly with her grace and her sense of humor that characterizes her personality. Do you have any anecdotes of any special moments that you shared with her?
Well, hundreds, if not thousands, over 40 years. But I always used to tell her, I said, if you didn't make it as a songwriter, if you didn't make it as a singer, if you hadn't made it as a musician, you would have made it as a stand-up comedian, because she had the quickest mind. And these things were spontaneous. She had her famous Dollyisms, as people talk about, where, it was always kind of self-deprecating type of humor. but she could come up with the funniest lines off the cuff, and it would just break everybody up. I mean, everybody from Johnny Carson and Jay Leno to the studio musicians. She would just be hilarious. And it was just her nature. She was just a naturally quick, funny wit. And oh my gosh, she used to say that I'm the only one that could write the real book about her. And I said, yeah, well, we probably all have to be dead first because there were so many jokes we all played on each other. Although she told me never to play jokes on her. I was a practical joker, and but I never would play practical jokes on Dolly. She didn't like to be surprised, but she was in on some of the jokes I played on people. And I, again, after so many years of traveling all over the world, all the records we made, all the thousands of hours in the recording studio, it's really difficult for me to say, well, I remember this specific time, or I remember that specific time. And people have been after me for years to write a book, and she used to say I'm the only one who could write the book about her. And I'm starting now to think about it. We've got a huge collection of behind the scenes photos in the studio, traveling, just casual, cooking out, that type of thing, that I probably will do a book. I'd hope to do it with her being involved, but obviously that's not going to happen now. But anyway, that's in the back of my mind now.
Yes. Bueno, nos dice que son cientos, si no miles de recuerdos porque fueron muchos años de trabajo con Dolly Parton. Nos dice que si ella no lograba ser exitosa como música, lo iba a hacer como cantante, sino como escritora o sino como comediante, porque tenía la mente más rápida que él puede recordar de una persona. Era demasiado espontánea, era una persona muy cómica, muy chistosa, todos se morían de la risa con sus aportes, y nos dice que esa simplemente era su naturaleza. Y nos dice que a veces ella le decía que el único que podía escribir un libro sobre ella era nuestro invitado Stephen Buckingham, y nos dice que además de eso, cuando trata de pensar en un momento puntual en ese cuarto de grabación o en esos momentos que viajaron por el mundo haciendo álbums, le cuesta muchísimo porque es que no hay un solo momento que él pueda recordar, fueron tantos, y por eso él dice que ojalá pueda escribir un libro sobre ella donde pueda incluir todas esas fotos de estudio que tiene con ella, y también en los viajes que hicieron. Le hubiera gustado involucrarla, pero pues ahora ella no está, es simplemente una idea que tiene en su mente.
Emiliana, una última pregunta muy, muy breve, porque pues hay especulaciones sobre la herencia de Dolly y él puede tener información. Se dice que su patrimonio y lo más valioso de ella, que es su librería musical, es decir, todos los derechos de su música los habría cedido a Miley Cyrus. Otras versiones de TMZ dice que se los cedió a sus sobrinos. ¿Él sabe algo de eso?
So, Steve, there's a lot of speculation about Dolly's rights to her music and her legacy and what she's leaving behind. And we're wondering, some of the speculation says that all of it is going to Miley Cyrus, and other sources of media are saying that she is giving it to her nephews. Do you know anything about this?
No, that's the first I've heard of any of that. I can't imagine. I can't speak for her. I cannot imagine her giving away her catalog. That's an annuity for her extended family for the rest of their lives, for her sisters, her nieces, her nephews, and their great nieces and great nephews. I mean, that's the annuity for that family. I mean, but as far as giving away her catalog to Miley, that's news to me. I never heard that one. I can't imagine that she would do that, because it's the annuity for her family. I'm not sure what the plans are as far as selling her catalog. I believe her catalog right now is being administered by Universal Music. I'm sure she could have sold her catalog for hundreds of millions, but I can't speak on the rumor about giving the catalog to Miley Cyrus. That's a new one on me. I'll put it that way.
Stephen, thank you very much for your time. And again, we are very sorry, and we will miss Dolly.
There'll never be another one like her. That's all. I mean, she was a one of a kind, and how lucky we were, you know, in my case, to know and work with her, and how lucky all of the world was to know her in their own way. And, you know, here I am talking to people in Colombia about Dolly. I've got a call later today with the BBC to talk about Dolly. I used to go all over the world with her, and I used to say, I don't care where you go in the world, you never hear the words, I wonder if that's Dolly Parton. Everybody knew it was Dolly. As soon as, I mean, they could see her 2 blocks away and they'd be yelling, Dolly, Dolly. I mean, she was obviously one of the most recognized people in the world, and rightfully so. And thank you for your interest in talking to me about this. It means a lot.
Thank you, Stephen. Right, she's one of a kind. Thank you very much. Él es el productor de Dolly en el momento de esas canciones tan importantes y pues está absolutamente devastado con la noticia de la muerte de lo que él llama Grace, one of a kind. ¿Qué dijo al final?
Sí, señor, nos dice que sobre ese catálogo que se rumora se lo habría dado a Miley Cyrus, no sabe absolutamente nada de eso y no puede imaginarse a Dolly cediendo su catálogo musical a Miley Cyrus, porque era algo muy preciado para ella y para toda su familia, sus sobrinos, sus hermanos. Tiene familiares muy íntimos y cercanos que también aprecian mucho su trabajo, entonces regalar el catálogo a Miley Cyrus es noticia para él y no se imagina tampoco a ella haciéndolo por lo importante también que era para su familia. Nos dice que este catálogo, según él sabe, es administrado por Universal Music y pudo venderlo en cientos de millones de dólares, entonces no puede precisarnos si el rumor de dárselo a Miley Cyrus es cierto o no. Lo que nos puede decir es que no habrá otra como ella. Está muy afortunado en su caso de poder conocerla, trabajar con ella, porque solo hay una como ella. Nos dice que incluso en Colombia, imagínese, ahora él hablando sobre Dolly en una radio en este país, va a recibir una llamada después de la BBC para hablar sobre Dolly y todo el mundo sabía quién era ella, no importa qué lugar del mundo donde ella llegara, ni siquiera se preguntaban, ¿esa es Dolly Parton? Porque es la persona más reconocida, o era, nos dice, en el mundo.